It's Sunday morning. We didn't get any snow. I'm disappointed. If it's cold, there needs to be snow. Elsewise, there's no need for the cold. So I came in to finish checking the logs for yesterday's flights. This is the log related information in Ardu Copter. Uh, Click right here, diagnosing logs. This page shows you how to diagnose the 6 most common problems for plane and rover as well. Now right here it says there are 2 ways to record your flight data. With some exceptions, the 2 methods record very similar data, but in different ways. Data flash logs are recorded on the autopilot controller itself, often to the SD cards, so they must be downloaded from the autopilot after flight. Telemetry logs, also known as T-logs, them things I really love, are recorded by the ground station. This is one of those things I had been hinting at the past few days that comes from past knowledge that was kind of buried in my brain that I hadn't remembered. You're going to see in this, there's quite a few simple things I just didn't remember because it's been 6 years or so since I've done this. Mission planner on the local PC when the autopilot is connected via a telemetry link. Now then, yesterday, because I had suspicions that if you don't connect your ground control station to the platform with a telemetry connection, there are certain logs that you're not going to get. T-logs. Okay, this says that everything's also in the data flash logs. It may be. I'm sure it is. There are ways to pull it out. But the basic ways with Mission Planner aren't very good. And I don't have the deep, intimate knowledge of data flash logs and stuff to go deep. Now, I'll just tell you, last year I watched a 2-hour seminar. Well, let me just show you. So I went in yesterday because I need to relearn the little points of Arducopter logs because it's changed a bit. And I just went in and YouTube and typed in Arducopter log. This one came up at the top of the heap a year ago. And yes, a year ago I did watch this. Okay, I didn't watch all of it. You can see the red line right here. I watched quite a bit of the 2-hour and 5-minute video. Half of it would be here. So I watched like almost an hour and a half of it. Whoops, what does that say? No, well, I can see it briefly. I watched 1 hour, 30 minutes of it, almost exactly. So that was weird that came up. But I always click here on stuff and filter it by upload date because I want to see the most recent stuff. Here's one from 11 months ago. Here's one from that build that I took the parts list from, but it's on tuning, not so much as doing anything in the logs. It's from a year ago. This one's from 11 months ago. This is 2 years ago, 2 years ago, 4 years ago. My goodness gracious, 5 and 9. Oh man, the damn log has changed. The way the log works changed in 9 years. 4 or 5 years. It's 2 years, I bet, and I fully suspect even recently. So I didn't get any help really coming in here to look at stuff because I was wanting to look at more how you stretch the graph or move the graph right and left. which I haven't figured out yet. I'll dig deeper. So, a little disappointed when I came in here for some help. And with a different search term, it may work better for me. But, so then I just started through this. Says if you're not yet familiar with the basics of these log files, first review the introductory pages to understand where these logs are stored and how you can download and view the information held within them. So there's a lot of information down through here to read. These are the 6 major reasons. Some of this you'll see is reproduced directly from, this is exactly from the notch tuning. Going to look at the vibe on vibe X, Y, and Z. See that it's less than 30. Compass interference, which I'm getting more and more suspicious of. Got some problems in that still. GPS glitches, I've got some of them, but I think a lot of my glitches yesterday were caused by, I was just horsing the thing around. There were times when I was just throwing the sticks right and left, forward and back, and letting them pop to center just as hard as I could to see if it was overshooting, that kind of thing, to further test the tune. It seemed to be good. Power out problems, fail safes, etc., etc. They talk about your codes here for fail safes. Oh, good information. I'm not going to read it to you. This tells you how to download and start analyzing log. This tells you how to set the parameters for what will be logged. How you download them via Mavlink. This is a case where I do go straight to the USB connection. Although you can download those logs via a Mavlink connection, wireless, it takes a long time. This goes down and talks more about stuff in the logs. A lot of stuff here. This next page is a bummer because this log messages, this area right here talks about every parameter that you see in that log list on the right. More down and down and down and down. If you start scrolling through this, and I'm going to grab the chiclet on the right and start scrolling down, this goes through, it tells you the heading for every one of them, and then it tells you what's being saved for that. It goes on and on and on and on. I think reading that one section alone could take days. Might be able to dig out of that how I could see the message easier, but I found going to the T-logs for messages is easier for me, but we'll do what we can with it here. Let's see, next page here goes back. We've been here before, measuring vibration with the IMU batch sampler. You can see right down through here, this is the area we got into when we were doing the harmonic notch filtering. So, going back real quick to my top page. After it talks down through here about those things, then these are some tools. I really like this tool right here. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. This talks about the UAV log viewer, which is external to Ardu Pilot. Tells you how to use it here. It's a nice little tool. It's a web page in truth, but I'm going to click right here like it says, and you can see https plot.ardupilot.org. This is located on the web. I guess it is an Ardu Pilot function, but it's not in Mission Planner or anything. So you come in here and you give it a bin file. Let's go for the first one from yesterday. And one of the bummers of this thing is it comes up like this, and there's just nothing. Well, I guess the map's painting in behind it. But I usually go up here and change my maps. There we go. There's a little better. So here's that field with a different, let me orient the same way it was in my other pictures. So here I was taking off. This dashed line is that's weird that this dashed line is coming straight up here, because that's the mission. It's going to come from here to here, out to here, back to here, out to there, here, and return to home. You can see where I actually came out to here and chickened out right here, if you remember, and then backed all the way home. So you can come in here. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to make the little copter as big as I can make it. And then you can come down here. I'm going to just set this right here and start this playing. You can see the copter coming up. Then I tested a return to launch first. There it is, doing its return to launch. If you remember, that's because I had trouble getting it to go into auto mode. I figured that out too. That's pretty embarrassing, but I'll show you that. And then after that, there was a reason I couldn't get it to go into auto on the landing pad. And there it is, going down to land. But right there, I put it into auto mode when it got low. So here it comes doing its thing in auto mode. Green in front, red in the back. They did that. I didn't do that. That's the way I put my props on, but this is totally their graphics, not mine. I don't know why that line goes straight up. Maybe it's because I made that waypoint. And there it is, turns towards the next waypoint. It's flying straight. Camera video would be wonderful. Plane would be rocked down. The tilt back of the cameras would be making them level. That makes a lot of my cameras record better because the light is less when it isn't all sky, and the auto exposure features work better. Here we go. And he chickens out. And here it comes, return to launch. And you see, this is what I was talking about, how it was not coming back exactly backwards. That's why this motor was down in the picture. That's exactly how it did. This is perfect. And I don't like that. That's why I changed that perimeter, so it will turn around and face return to launch. For camera usability, what if you came home like this from 5 miles away? What if you flew out 5 miles, had a radio fail-safe because you dropped your radio on the ground and it broke? It would come home 5 miles backwards like that. So, again, it's coming in for a landing. So, this utility is pretty darn useful. And right in there, if I remember correctly, I took it out of right there. I took it out of return to launch. It's in stabilized mode right now, I believe. When it is, the line is red. You can see on the key up here. There's a bunch of horsing it around, right, left, front, and back. Anyway, I think you get the gist of this one. So we can come out of here. I'll go ahead and just stop that from playing. Or we can speed it up to 3 times and see what the rest of this does real quick. We're going to speed it up to 5 times. Yeah, it sat on the ground there for a while. Probably while I was turning over the computer. That was another return to launch test right there. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's because it's yellow. Anything here in yellow is a return to launch test. After failing on the first return to launch because I calibrated the compass indoors instead of outdoors, I just was a little nervous on that, so I did one to start with. I did one right there. This one right here was a big return to launch, so I think that's all tested now. Don't think there's any more in there. There may be. That was just some fun flying, so to speak, to see how it worked, doing flat turns, see how it tolerated that, see what kind of speed I got out of it. So that's in loiter mode, to tell you the truth, just to make it a little slower for right now. If you go into stabilized, it will do this much faster. And in acro mode, even faster yet. This is where I started to check the battery, because I was thinking the battery was low. And this is one of the problems. I didn't know. So I took it out right here and was kind of flying it right here, hoping it was going to fail safe at any moment. You'll see this in the other things. And right here, the battery started getting mushy. That's the reason for that little dip there. The battery started getting mushy, but I couldn't get it to go into fail safe. And I think it was just right there's a return to launch. Maybe it, no, I think I flipped the switch there. I'll have to see. Or maybe it did fail safe. I didn't think it did yesterday. And that's me picking it up and carrying it to the car. And that's the end of the first telemetry log. There were actually 3 flights in there. So that's pretty useful. I do like that utility. There's a lot more you can do with it. Also, oops, now I won't have my bin file anymore. We'll just look at the second one here real quick with this. The second one was that big battery. And we'll speed this up at least 2 times. Alt hold, loiters in red. Return to launch, stabilizing in green. So that's a alt hold out. That's where I hit return to launch. This is the big battery. I wanted to see how it would work with that. And again, this is where I just got totally tired of that return to launch coming back. Right there's where I flipped it out of return to home. When it got over the point into altitude hold. This is where I put it into loiter. I just horsed it a little bit on yaw there. Then we're into stabilize now. A little flying around. Then you see there's where I was really just jerking the sticks around with the big battery to see how it would act at that weight. It's clumsy. A little punch. Bring it down. Big punch. And you notice at the top of that punch. Let me go back to that because that's pretty important. Okay. Let's look at the top of this punch. I dropped the throttle to 0 near the end. I wanted to see how it acted at the top, and you'll notice it turned almost upside down. There you go. Let's slow this down. Way down to half speed. There's about half speed. We'll back it up just a hair. Now we'll play. There it is. Almost upside down. That's when I touch the throttle just a little bit again so it would level itself out. You shouldn't hit the throttle hard when it's laid over like that. It will go in the direction it's laid over. And so I just flew it a little bit around there after those. I guess it was just 2 punch outs. We'll see if there's another. I don't think there is. I mean, it doesn't look like there is on this graph. Oops. I guess we could pick up our speed so we can have a little shorter video. This is just playing with that really heavy battery. That's where I scared everybody. And I put it back in altitude hold right here. And just brought it down and landed it. I think this is the end of the flight right here. So the data flash logs recorded everything. The telemetry logs did not, because of me walking through the ground station. And no, the telemetry logs didn't. T-logs didn't record completely because of the MAV link or the radio. I don't think it was the Wi-Fi radio to the ground station that came disconnected. I think it was the MAV link to the radio. Okay, let's talk about my particular problems. If we come into... Well, I've set up my computer so that I can just click on a log and, whoops, that's not where those are. They're right here. Okay, what I did yesterday, because I had this suspicion that you can only get T-logs from the ground control station, and they're only produced during flight. So to check that, yesterday I deleted the logs in my notebook computer, ground control station. Just wiped out the whole subdirectory, so there was nothing there to conflict. And when I came back in and checked this out, I do have T-logs for that flight. Those 2 flights, or 2 flights. And they seem to have quit when the connection quit. Let's look at the first one real quick. For my embarrassing moments. And what you can do here is you can run over here real quick for what I want to show. I'm going to put this to 10 times speed. I'm going to hit play. It's going to start rushing through this T-log. But what it's doing for me, it's giving me my messages over here in a form that's easier for me to deal with. You remember I went into auto mode in the same way that I used to. Arm the copter, got a little spin. I can stop this right here for a second and raise the throttle just a little bit and then touch auto and it'll start its mission. Not if you don't add your takeoff command to the mission. My God, old man. So I can fix my platform problem now. Let me just power it up. What the hey? We'll just run in and fix it. Why don't we? Connect. Man. 6 years. I don't think I've flown a quadcopter, and I know I haven't looked at a quadcopter log or made a quadcopter mission in since about 2016. About maybe in 2017 I did, 5 years ago. So if we read in the mission that I put into my platform, you'll see, yes sir, 3 bags full. Don't say of what. There's no takeoff command here. Isn't that fun? So I'm going to insert a command here. It said add below. That's not what I wanted. Oh well. You can see here, right here, I needed to start out with of course, how about a takeoff, people, to 100 feet. Or I could have put it at 50 and let it ramp up. So this takeoff right here, oh man. Anyway, you can see I'm not going to, yeah, this will work. That's what you do. See, I've done this before. And we've got this one right here. You can push that one down, 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 down. And I forget how you delete them. Oh well. Make out like that's not there. So this is what I should have had. Take off. Then my first waypoint, second, third, fourth, and fifth. And then a return to launch. That's why it wouldn't raise up off the launch pad. Not quite sure how to dig that out of the data flash logs. I hope to learn again how to do that. And like I say, this might have been fun to take off to only 50 feet. So then it would be rising from 50 feet to 100 feet for this first leg. So you see how the logs solve that mystery. The mystery of the forgetful old man. So, what's next? Other things in here that I saw. And there's not much else in here. Yeah, see, this is where I had done my I should look at that. I think my radio test was done in here. I'll go in here and select all. Go in here and oops. Select all again, go in here and copy that, drop that in Notepad. Now, RC out, I am active. Okay, we moved past. I'm looking for my radio lost failsafe. I think right here may be it. I'll have to come back looking for that. I'm just going to go into the second thing that these telemetry logs showed me yesterday was we're going to go to a data flash log right now and review it. And that's in this one. I'm still keeping ground station and data flash. Two logs and data flash separate. Ones that were created on the ground station, ones that created in the platform, because I'm trying to figure out which is created where, and are truthfully both hold all the data, and how can I get it out of both of them. I'm having a little trouble getting it out of the data flash logs, just due to age. If you come in here, look real quick and just look at some things, I always give you some fun things. Here's the barometer altimeter information. We'll look at data tables real quick with this. These are all the senses of the barometer for that flight and the saved away data points. All 505,734 of them developed in, let's see, 1248, 1249, 1251, 3 minutes, maybe 9 minutes of flight, or 9 minutes of time. 505,734 data points. Are you beginning to see more and more why I like telemetry so much, and a good telemetry connection is important to me? A lot of stuff goes back and forth over that wireless connection during a flight. So let's come in here to this one real quick and look at battery voltage for kicks and grands. First flight, a little time on the ground. Second flight, little time on the ground. Third flight, did not disconnect the battery during that. It stayed connected the whole time. Therefore, this is one contiguous data flash log instead of 3. If you disconnect the battery right here when it's on the ground, it will be. So the battery started out up towards 25 volts. This was when it was flying its mission and all that stuff. This was that second little flight I did with the radio failsafe. Takes place right in here. I wish I could look up in this and see that. Oh well. That's one of the things I still didn't learn to move these data flash logs right and left yet. I wonder if the control key does that. No. Alt. Oh, look. It's the control key. Yes, it is. I found it just now. There is a God after all. So here's the battery. Let me put this back like it was. Here's the battery near the end of the flight, and right here's 22.5 volts. That just happens to be my failsafe voltage coming across through here, and I can't really see, but I also learned how you can point towards this and see the values here. You right click and say show point values. Man. So right here near the end of the flight, and we're going to come in here, we're going to put a little window on this because this we want to take separately. So we're going to come in here. The voltage right here is 22.53 at the time mark 12:59:45 seconds, 0.7, 640 milliseconds. Whatever it is, I don't know if it's microseconds, milliseconds, or whatever. But you see, coming right in here, we're above 22.5. We start right down through here. Right there it is. And right there it goes low for the first time, below 22.5 volts. The little problem here is there's a 10-second timeout on that. It has to stay there for 10 seconds. And you can see right here where this graph is flat. I brought it over near return to launch, got it down low, and I can see now it didn't fail safe because there would be a message straight up above. I don't know. This right here it may have fail-safed right here. We're still checking that. Errors. No errors. Messages. No messages. Events. That's the red ones up there. So no, I don't know what this color is. It may be a battery fail-safe that occurred right here, perhaps. Perhaps. I'm not sure. I don't remember. No, by this time the notebook had been knocked off and it had lost connection, so there's no T-logs for this. Anybody knows if this means that it battery radio fail-safed? I would love. Right here, yeah, I'm thinking more and more that it did, because right here's in the return to launch. And it's in the area that it probably should have, because if you come out through here, of course, this one's down to 22.46 volts. The problem is it comes up right here. It's 22.51. It just stopped the timer. It didn't get to 10. Same thing here. Okay, it starts the 10 count, but it stops because up here it gets to 22.51. That was happening all in here. And this is me moving the voltage up and down because it was getting mushy. That's 1 o'clock, 8 seconds after 1 o'clock. See, that's 18 seconds right in here. I suspect it did do a battery failsafe right here, and that's what that color's for, and right here's the reason I suspect that. It finally got below 22.5 volts for 10 seconds duration right here, in my humble opinion. So, this does show it did. Because of this color change. But you see in here, because I didn't have the T-logs for it, I can't see it happening in the mission planner. But I think it did it. And last night I didn't see this, and I didn't see this down here. Probably because it didn't turn on the modes right there. I didn't flip the switch. The monkey didn't flip the switch in this case. For this whole flight, we'll right click and we'll get rid of our point values for now and scale to default, and we'll drop current in here, and we'll drop the voltage so we can see that. First flight, this is while it's sitting on the launch pad with no current. The second flight where I did the radio, right here is the radio fail-safe. It doesn't say that on it, but that's where it happened. I flew that flight. I backed it out through the field, got it down low, and turned the radio off. It doesn't say radio fail-safe invoked, which is what I was looking for, but right there's the RTL. Yep. This is the first flight where, now that I know how to do this, well, thought I knew how to do it. Oh, that just moves it. If I scroll the wheel, it widens it right to left. Oh man, I love it. I love it. I love it. You can see where I first took off and ran it out a little bit and then went into return to launch. You can see that designated by that color. That's what that color is. I'm sure of it now. You can see it came back, and then I took it, turned the return to launch switch off. It went back into altitude hold, and I touched the auto button right here where it turned to this color. He's learning before your very eyes. So that was this flight. You can see all that here. This is where I chickened out because it was getting out of my line of sight, visual line of sight. So I flipped return to launch here. I tested it again in this area. This is the radio failsafe that invoked this return to launch. This was another little fun fly where I was wanting to test the battery over here. The point of this graph is this is 30 amps of current, this is 50 amps of current. Let's turn back on our show point values and look for the top of this creature right here. The highest current was 47.78178 amps, 47. Now that's for all four motors, so it was, and that was during that big punch out. If I can do this, no, that's, you do it this way. I'm learning. Then you hold down the control key to move it around. So zoom in. Yeah, this isn't doing what I want because the punch outs are so close together. Yeah, this isn't doing what I want. Reset to default. I was wanting to separate these to see the tops of them. This one's at 24 amps. But that shows me my highest current, excuse me, during the stabilized mode up here. You can see here and down here. It was in stabilized for those punch outs. So, you know, at 55 amps per motor, what I was looking for there is, I didn't want to see a punch out here of greater than 55 times 4. In other words, I wanted to know that if I go to full throttle, I wasn't going to make little magic smoke come out of my ESC. It'll probably handle more than 55 momentarily, but I don't want to play with that. So that kind of researches down. Our battery failsafe actually did work. I just didn't realize it yesterday because I didn't have the ability to see that it went into return to home. We'll look at this. Actually, I just lied to you. That was a punch out on the small battery. That isn't a big punch out, and that's why I didn't find at least 2 of them there early in the morning for this poor old boy. And if we look at the second one, I didn't fly it much. You can see that flight was all of, turn on point values, 13:10 to 13:14, 4 minutes. This was the big battery on it, and there were 3 punch outs, 1, 2, 3. Actually, a little 4th one that might not have been, but this is the voltage. Voltage sags during the punch out. 22.5 volts right here. Those would have initiated a battery failsafe had it not been for the 10-second period. That's why the 10-second period is put in there, or whatever period you put in there. Don't make it too high. Don't make it too low. You can see I ran the platform out there just like I said. Tested return to launch on it. Wanted to see how it would react to that with the big battery. Really, really heavy that way. Got some altitude hold, loader, stabilized for a long time for this portion of it. Then back into loader for a while. Stabilized, altitude hold, and out. Now, this battery never came close to battery failsafe because it flew last at 23.69 volts or so. Let's look at those punch outs. This is where I wanted those. Okay. There were 2 hard punch outs, and there were a couple of other things that were current, high on the current. Again, this one was 113 amps. This one was 129 amps. 76. Did I do that right? I'm divided by 4. Oh, I multiplied it again. It takes me a while to get really going in the morning. How about we divide that by 4? That looks a little better. It's 32.25 amps per motor for this really big punch out right here. That's under the 55 per motor, so I'm probably not going to generate ESC smoke. I can forget worrying about that one. And see, I just want to do them for a millisecond. When I have better goggles, something else on, then I will be able to do it more. So let me think about what all else I might speak of here. Oh wow, this video's gotten way too long. That last was one thing. So I'm going to show here where I did the auto mission, because I do want to state one thing about it. And right there it goes into auto and heads to waypoint 1. What I want to illustrate and want you to watch right here is this is how many feet it is away from the home point. And I have a new record for a Mavlink connection, and we'll see what the new record is. That's one of the reasons I connect this ground control station, is I'm every flight trying to see how far I got with Mavlink. And I apologize right now for this being so long, and I will make this the last thing I show in this video. Because right here, and I'll stop this, oops, and you can see it actually goes out to 1,016. So currently, my new world record is 1,016 feet with a Mavlink connection. Okay guys, this is long enough. I hope you learned something. I actually did successfully dig some more information out for myself here. Thank you guys.